Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new season of Limitless with Nadia. So excited to be here with you guys. Today we have my very good friend, a special guest, Miss Natalie Martin.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, I know it's been a really long time since we've done a podcast episode, but everything is finally aligned for us to be here and talking to you, and we have so many exciting things to share in this episode today. And the reason why I really wanted to bring Natalie on was because ever since moving to Miami, I've really kind of expanded into this space where I'm able to just do what I love, and I have so much free time, and I get paid to literally just focus on doing my passions. And I think there's a lot of you guys who are listening to this podcast who are kind of stuck in a space where you're doing something that you don't necessarily love in your career, you're not getting paid what you want, and you're just ready for more. You're ready to expand and really create a life and a career that is filled with your purpose and again, just is filled with a lot of abundance that allows you to have the freedom to live the life that you want. And Natalie here is the queen of living that Pilates matcha latte lifestyle. Yes. Literally just what day of the week is it, you know, like, and so she just has so much wisdom and insight to share. So thank you again for being here with us.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Soleil. I think something I kind of wanted to start off with is how it's so interesting that so many people think it is so difficult to transition from a 9-to-5 like matrixy kind of job that, you know, maybe it's something that you studied in college and now that you're doing as a career, but then you realize it's not really a good fit. But the step to go from that to, I just get paid to exist, I just do the stuff that's actually what I'm passionate about. People think that's further away than it really is. So in your experience, how has that kind of come together for you? And was it really that big of a jump?
For me, I would say, honestly, I never did the traditional path of jobs. I always was very big on like, do what you love and you'll never feel like you're working a day in your life. I think it's just very important to like do things that you're passionate about. And there will be times where you'll be doing jobs that you don't necessarily enjoy, because we all have to, you know, there's points in your life you'll be like, I need to make money. You know, there's things that you want and or like a lifestyle you want to live, and you can't live that unless you can like work and sustain it. So I would say it actually was a little difficult for me to understand that in the beginning. I wasn't always as open-minded to it until I was put into positions where I'm like, I really just don't enjoy this. Like I started noticing a pattern where like I could not keep a job like for a long time, like a traditional job, you know. Maybe I did some of like the babysitting like when I was really young, and like that was nice because, you know, you're working with like different people and families, but I just like personally do not do well with routine. I need to constantly be doing something different, working with new people. Right. So it's definitely been a journey. It's not like a one-way thing for people, you know. You don't just like know what you want to do right away. People will say like, well, how do I know like what I'm passionate about? Like, I don't know how to like make money doing what I love, but there's definitely a way. I would say one job that really like opened up my eyes was I was working here in Miami at a creative agency for someone else, where I had a whole bunch of clients like under me, where I was creating content for them, and it was kind of sucking out the passion of what I know I love to do. So that kind of just opened up my eyes to seeing how much money like my boss and like their business was bringing in, and I was like, I can do this myself. I'm literally doing it, you know. And I felt a little like limited to being creative in that space. So that's when I kind of just like made the jump. And, you know, we all come from different backgrounds and stuff. Like I grew up where like there was a point in my life where I had a lot of support from my family, and then life happens. They hit things that they never expected to like go through themselves, and they weren't able to really like provide for us as much as they always were able to. And it kind of like forced me to like step up, where it's like, if I want these nice things in life and stuff, like now I do have to do it myself. It's like up to me to get myself where I want to be, you know? So,
and I think that's like an underrated gift, is like when you are put in the position where you have to kind of figure it out for yourself and do your own thing. And like back to what you were talking about a little earlier, you were saying that, you know, thinking back on all of your, like the odd jobs and the traditional jobs that you were working before, and thinking about, you know, what you realized you needed out of a career in order to feel fulfilled. I think that's a really good place for anybody listening to this to kind of start, is looking back at your work experience and your career experiences, and like asking yourself, what felt so wrong about this to me? Like where was there a lot of resistance from my end? Because I was kind of For me, the issue was I hated being told what to do if I didn't agree with it. I didn't like having a boss that would be like, you have to do
That
A,
was
B, and
me.
C.
I was so bad with that. The second somebody like tried telling me what to do and I was on their schedule, like I just was like, I can't.
Not
like
the
I just knew I
vibes.
was like meant for more.
Totally.
You know?
So if that's something that like you're dealing with, if you're listening to this and you're having like a similar thing of like, yeah, I hate that I have a boss and I'm being told what to do. Well, then maybe that's your sign that you need to be self-employed and you have to like be able to do your own thing. And then there's also the, like you said, there was something else you mentioned about something that you didn't, the not liking routine. Same for me of like, I need variation, I need newness, I need all that stuff. So it's like really just being able to look at all the jobs you have worked at in the past and just ask yourself, why didn't it fit? And what was my soul craving instead?
Yeah. Also, a lot of the jobs that you do have, like they might seem like very silly or like they don't like contribute to like the bigger picture, but they definitely do. Like even a job from like the serving industry to babysitting, like they're all teaching you different skills that you'll later on realize and be like, oh, this is why I needed to go through that to get here first, you know?
Totally.
Like you might meet somebody at that job, you know, like maybe like serving isn't like your calling necessarily. I don't
But
think
it was a stepping stone.
It was a stepping stone. Exactly. You're going to have a lot of stepping stones before you get to where you ultimately want to be.
Yeah.
And yeah, you just need to take those steps first. You might meet people along the way, like in unexpected ways, you know, like I've had jobs where like you have to put in the work and do like stuff that might feel below you at first, you know, like nobody's too good for anything. Like I've had to like step in and help out at like the bottom before I could even do this by myself. So it's not like you just like, you know, we all see like the end result. We see people like being these content creators or like working for these really cool companies and stuff. And like, we're like, oh, I wish I could be doing that. But it's like, you can, but you didn't see all that stuff that they went through before that.
To build into it.
Like, I love the creators that I follow that I like have seen them grow from like the beginning because at one point they were also like college students. They were like broke and they didn't have
Gotta
money.
start
Like we
somewhere.
all like start somewhere,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So like, just because you don't like come from money or anything, it doesn't make you any less. Like you can still, you know, we might have different starting points, but we can all get to the same place. Like you just have to be
100%.
consistent. If you're consistent, you won't fail. You'll get there eventually, you know? It's
Totally.
probably something you're very familiar with as well. It's like
Yeah.
if somebody told you right now, like you're guaranteed success in whatever it is that you want to do, you might be like moving differently and not stressing as much because you know it'll like
Yes.
already be yours. Like you can't mess up what's meant for you.
Such a good point. And I think this also ties into what we always talk about, which is that a lot of people don't realize. Because I think a lot of people say, oh, well, I don't have any skills that I could, like, what would I even do if I wanted to, like, you know, start my own business or become self-employed or be a content creator even? Like, I don't even know where I would start. But it's like, you don't realize that you have been doing so many things in your career, in your school life, in life in general, that have been kind of preparing you and building your skill set to be able to do what you want with it. Like you mentioned, you worked a lot of like, you know, jobs that seem like they might be unrelated to what you're doing now, but they actually really were behind the scenes, like, you know, preparing you and giving you the knowledge and the wisdom that you need to do what you want to do now. Like I worked at KinderCare for like a year. Like I worked as a server at like a nursing home. I worked, you know, like all these different things. And yeah, it might seem like it's unrelated, but it's really not, because all of the skills that I learned from that is something that I still apply in my life now. And also, like you said, a lot of the times it is going to directly help you with where you want to go, but you won't know, like it's the connection. Maybe you meet somebody or you met somebody through that job that gets you to where you want to go. But I think it's really important from where you're standing to not look at it as like, oh, there's still so many things I would need to do. Because that's the other thing, actually. Society programs us to think that we can't do something unless we have a formal education to do it first, unless we have the certification, unless we have all these things. But in reality, you are so talented as a human being. You have so many skills that other people would be dying to pay you to do for them, but you just don't look at it in that way because you're waiting for some kind of external validation of like, well, if I want to be a health coach or if I want to be like a manifestation coach, right? Like I have to do all these certifications first, or like, you know, I have to get this education. But what if like you just acting on your passions and the things that you're naturally curious about? That's why I am where I am now. All the stuff that I do with my clients, like astrology, human design, I learned all of that on my own, literally just by looking into it because I was curious.
That's a really big thing, actually. You have to just start. like there's no perfect time to do it. So I actually have my own creative agency where I do social media management, marketing, like content creation, photo shoots, everything. And I find that I meet a lot of people who are also interested in like pursuing something like that, but they don't know how. They're like, how do you do it? And then I look back at like when I was first starting off, like nobody taught me how to do any of this stuff. So when these girls that I know try to overcomplicate it, I'm like, you just have to do it. Like there's no blueprint on how to do this. Like I've had crazy stories. I've been led on by people before are doing the constant following up. Like I've put in the work and been rejected, or you get your time wasted, or they don't pay you, or this one's super cheap, or this one's like super like easygoing, or I don't know, this one pays me a lot of money, but she's crazy and I don't want to deal with her, and it's not even worth like my mental health, you know? Like me and my business partner, like we've had to like even like turn people away at some point because we're like, this is just like it's not feeling right, and you can't do things that don't feel right. So we had to kind of like let go, but it's all a learning experience. You know, we see like, even in the beginning, I remember we didn't even know how to like price our packages and stuff. You know, it's like all trial and error. You start to see like, no, this actually requires a lot of my time, or there are people who will value this, and I'm like selling myself short. Like I could be like upping my prices a little, you know, like I have things like I want to pay for and buy and do, and like I can't get there unless like I'm making more money, you know? So you have to like name your own price and like what you would value it at, and then other people are going to see that value too. The more confident you move with these things, you know?
Totally. That's such a good point. I think it makes me think of the quote, as you walk, the path will continue to appear.
I love
like
that.
As you take steps forward, you're not going to know exactly what you're doing at the like get-go, but as you just try things and you experiment and you just put one foot forward, you're going to learn. Things are going to become more clear. They're going to, and like you said, you start to kind of develop this sense of what I have to offer is valuable, and this is how I can offer it to other people in a way that makes me feel good and makes them feel good and contributes to society, you know?
Another thing I'll say also, we all have heard the saying like fake it till you make it.
Yes.
And you really have to do that. You just have to kind of like present yourself as that person that does those things, you know? Like I've been on calls before with people where they're like, oh, like if we wanted to do a photo shoot, like, do you have like a studio that we could use and stuff? I'm like, I don't know. Like I've never actually like done that before, but like you just don't like show yourself like stressed or anything. Like you figure it out. And what I did was I figured it out. I found studios and stuff. And like now it's a thing that I was able to actually offer. And I've made full on like mood boards and like photo shoot, like production, like ideas and everything for people in cities that I don't even live in. Yeah. I fully produced from the outfits to the mood board for a company that's in LA.
Crazy.
You know? So
crazy. And I bet at the beginning, you didn't think that opportunity would be available to you, but it was. And it's so funny because as you're talking about all this, it's making me think about my journey starting out as a coach. And like at the, you know, if you haven't really done it before, obviously it's going to be completely new like territory. You're going to feel like a beginner. You're going to feel like you have no idea what you're doing. And so when I was first getting into coaching, I remember like I was asking people, hey, will you let me coach you for free? Because I really just want to see what this is all about. And like, you know, going into the first coaching, or even like my first paid coaching client, it was my first paid coaching client, but like I had to act and show up as if I've done this a million times before. Because if you show up like you're like super nervous and you have no idea what you're doing, and it's like, oh, like, you know, people get that from you, and that's kind of where things start to go south. But if you can just believe that you have what it takes and that the clarity will come to you of like how to do it properly with time, that's how things become what they need to be. And like, I remember even going into that coaching set, like the very first paid coaching session, I was like, I don't even have I was like, okay, let me like write out what's the blueprint, what's the format, like what are we going to talk about, what are these things? And I had all of that on a piece of paper. And then when we got on the call, I just forgot all of that. And we just got into conversation and everything kind of picked up from there. Yeah. So you really don't have to you're never going to feel fully prepared. You know,
no, you never will. There will never be somebody that's like, okay, now is your time. Yeah. Like, here you go. This is the perfect time to start. Like, nobody's ever going to come and like do anything for you. Nobody's going to sit you down and be like, this is how you do it. Like, especially nowadays, I'm sorry, we have so many resources like at your fingertips. Like, hello, ChatGPT. Have you guys tried it before? Because it's crazy. Like, there's nothing you can't do using that. You know, you don't know how to like start your account, what you should post about. Like, it'll tell you everything. It'll help you come up with concepts. It'll help you write your contracts for you, like with people, depending on like what you want to do. But you just got to do it. You'll find out a way. Like we're saying, there's no perfect time to start. So once you just start, it kind of like, in my opinion, it also like forces you to kind of like figure it out. If you stay where you're comfortable, you're never even going to need to like test that like mindset almost on like, how am I going to do it? Yeah, it's like survival mode, you know? Like if you already like started, it's like, well, now I need to come up with a solution, or now I need to figure out these answers. Cause let me tell you, I robbed myself and wasted so much time by just like waiting and like over something silly, like trying to figure out like the pricing and what I want to include in these packages.
Yes. Oh my God. You know, that makes me think of a TikTok recently that I watched. And it was, her name is Coco Moco, actually. She's a content creator, and like, she basically spots talent before they become famous. And she's like, this person is, she is so brilliant. But she was talking about how she can always tell when somebody's going to be extremely successful, because it's the person that, comes to her and says, I tried this 100 times and it failed every single time. But like she's like, that person is going to be more successful than the one that shows up with like 100 different Excel sheets, planning out and like brainstorming. And it's really easy to get stuck in that space too, of like, okay, I'm just going to do it. Let me lay out the whole plan. But it's like, all of that is theoretical. You have to actually do the thing, engage with the thing, like just take that first step forward and not get stuck in that ideation phase, because that's where it's like, okay, once it's perfect and I feel ready and the whole blueprint is laid out, then I'm good to go.
It's never going to feel perfect, because your opinion on what perfect is always going to be changing as well. So it's like, it's going to be like this never ending cycle. So if you don't start, like even with your business, you know, like I remember posting on like our creative agency's account, and like I would like constantly want to change like even the aesthetic of it. Like I would just like not like this, like want to remove everything. And then you just have to like start, you know, like you see it all the time. Actually, some of the most successful brands, I don't know if anyone else has ever done this, but I'll like stalk them at the very like the bottom. Like I'll want to see how like, where did they start? Like, what did it look like? Like I see right now, again, like I see the end result of like how successful they are, but like what was their starting story like? What did it look like? And you see, and some of that stuff was like so like, there was nothing special, you know? They just had to start somewhere, and then it gets better over time, you know?
It evolves. And I think another really important thing to remember too is when you're thinking from the perspective of what kind of business should I start, or what kind of, you know, when you're thinking from that perspective, it honestly limits you a lot, because when you're asking yourself that question, it comes with all the limitations of what you think is possible and what's not. Versus when you're just coming from the space where I'm just going to do this because I love it. Let's just see where it leads. I'm just going to do it because I'm passionate about it, and I would do it for free even. Those are the things that lead usually to the most lucrative business ideas.
Well, people tell you all the time, like, don't be in it for the money. You know, like if you want to write a blog and stuff, don't think, oh, how am I going to monetize off of this? Like you would have to like, you'll know it's something that you love doing if you, like you said, you're not going to get paid for it and stuff. Because in the beginning, I've had stories, like if you guys like hear what we got paid then versus now, it's like actually crazy. Like it's just part of the process. Like nothing's impossible. Yes, you might have your first client pay you like some crazy number that you're so happy with, or you might have to, again, work from the bottom. Like I remember doing an event for somebody, it was like for their birthday or whatever, and I put a lot of work into it with my business partner, and it was so funny because we literally split $100. Like we got $50 each, and I'm like, what is this? Like what am I paying for buying like with this? Like, you know, but like whatever.
But that's also how you learn the value of your work.
You also, you learn the value of your work, and you also start to get like samples, and like in this case, it's like kind of building you a portfolio. It depends what kind of business you're into, but it's really good to have like examples of your work, and like you just want to take anything on that you can in the beginning. Like when you were telling us that like your friends, like you would just be like, can I coach you? Like, that's what you need to do, you know?
Yeah, you just have to take the risk and just go for it. And something else that I think is also really important to address is, I'm sure there's a lot of people listening right now where they're in a position within their careers where they don't feel like they have the freedom yet to really start taking those steps forward, because they, you know, you have a 9-to-5, you have bills to pay, you have things, you can't just like up and quit your job and like start a new business. And something I think that's really important to remember with that is it's the same concept of you're never going to be fully ready. There's never going to be a perfect time where it's like, okay, I'm going to quit my job and then I'm going to start. It's all going to be amazing.
No, it's never easy to let go of like an income that you're relying on. It never feels comfortable.
Yes, but it's also about remembering that it's baby steps at the very beginning. It doesn't have to be this big, huge leap that's like perfect circumstances. It maybe means you have your 9 to 5, but how are you using your free time to engage with the things that you like? Even if it like simple content creation, like that's really how it started with me. I was still working a 9 to 5 when I started posting on TikTok, literally for shits and giggles. My first content, the stuff that was going super viral was just comedy. It was just like lip syncing stuff. It was my first ever video that went viral was talking shit about Leo men, like being traumatized by a Leo man. And it's like, that did really well. And I was like, oh my God, I actually really enjoy this. And then I started using TikTok even more as a creative outlet. And then eventually got fired from my job. And because I had already built traction with my social media, I was like, I'm just going to do this full time. You know, it was never like okay, I've built this up and now it's perfect. And now I can leave the other thing. It's like, it's baby steps. It's little things that you're doing with your free time to start.
Yeah. And actually jumping off of that, I saw this creator on TikTok and he's like, been having a lot of videos like gain a lot of traction because of his transparency with becoming like a content creator in that world, like sharing numbers on how much he's making and everything, which is like some things we don't typically hear from people. And something he said that really like stuck out to me is like with people with a 9 to 5, like he had a 9 to 5, but it's like you said, what you do at that time afterwards and stuff. He's like, how bad do you actually want this? Because once you come home from your 9 to 5, you need to clock in now to your other job, you know, like it doesn't end. Like if you want to get to that point where you're maybe like making a full-time income off of your social media or something, like you need to put in the work. It's not just going to be handed to you something that's like that easy. It's like not like a one-way easy task, you know, like it's going to be very gradual. I remember even like I'm still not to where I want to be ideally. And I remember when I was first posting on TikTok and stuff, and I was also becoming like too fixated on like, what's my niche? What kind of content should I be posting? What do people want to see? And it's like, it's so funny because like you said, my video that went the most viral, I was not even expecting it at all. And that's what happens a lot of the times. I was literally, it was like something so silly. I was in my bed, like getting tucked in bed, and I was just going like online shopping. It's like me at 2 a.m., like looking at all the things I want to buy, basically. Like when you're rich.
I remember
like,
that. I saw that.
Like that. And then I love to do that too. That's like one of my forms of manifestation. Like I don't hold back. Like I'll be looking at G-Wagons, whatever, things that maybe I can't get right now, but I know I will eventually. And and that video just like popped off. It got like over 4 million views on it. And I was just like,
and can
really?
I just honestly,
the ones you actually try on, and I'm like, do you know how much time went into this? And then they just like flop. It's crazy.
There's actually a reason for that. That's something that I always used to think about. And I would always try to analyze, why is that the case? Because I noticed the same thing with myself and with other people as well. And it's like, the reason why the videos that perform the best are the ones that you put the least amount of effort into is because there's no expectation from, you're not overthinking anything. You're not over analyzing. You're not attached to it. You're so detached, and it's coming from such a place of authenticity. Like I'm just doing it because I want to. And that energy is very magnetic, and people sense that, you know? So when you're coming from that space of just making content that feels good and you're not even thinking about how it's going to perform, that's usually the stuff that goes super viral.
Yeah, that. And then also like speaking of energy and stuff, like when you're posting, sometimes like the things you get most excited about posting too, by putting that like confident, good energy out there as well, that also can help something to go like viral. Like when you're really like excited about it, like people like feel that too. Or if you know something's gonna do well, or like, it typically performs well too.
And that's why if you want to go viral, you have to stop thinking from the perspective of what's going to go viral. What do people want to see? What's going to perform best? What's my niche? And just create shit that feels fun. Create stuff that's just like shits and giggles. This is like something that excites me.
And this is a little tip for people who do want to get into content creation, but like I've done social media management. I've done it for so many other people, and I slowly started doing it like for myself as well. If you're struggling to find out what your niche is, you are the niche.
You are the niche.
Everything you do can be turned into content. Because the number one thing too is just consistency. You're gonna have videos that do amazing and then videos that just like fail. Like I see creators that are even bigger than me and they have videos that flop as well, you know? It doesn't matter, it's very random, but you just have to be consistent. And the only way you can be consistent is if you're being yourself. Because the second you try to be like
Somebody else.
unauthentic and you're not being yourself, like it's going to show, it's going to catch up to you, and you're not going to know what else to post. You're not going to be able to like keep that whole image up. So make sure you just stay true to yourself and turn everything into content, you know?
And that's the thing too, is really expanding your view of what you can make content out of, because especially if you're someone that spends a lot of time on social media, you're constantly consuming. And that's the way I honestly have also learned to create good content, even like that's also very authentic, is just getting inspiration from your For You page or from your Explore page, seeing what other people are doing and noticing what you feel the most inspired by, so you can start doing it on your own too. Like if you just start by asking yourself, what should I create content about now? That's like such a wide like net, and it can be really difficult to even narrow down.
Overwhelming.
It's overwhelming, but if you just start to pay attention to whatever you are consuming or whatever you're paying attention to or thinking about that lights you up, that's where you just take it and you run with it. And you don't think about, is this going to do well? Or it's just like, it's something that feels so natural and like fun for me that I'm just really going to put it out there, and we'll see how it does. And yeah, not every video is going to do well. I've had so many videos like completely flop, but
and it doesn't even matter. Like I tell this to people too, like don't delete it. Just keep it up, because that's another thing. They can gain more traction like after the fact. Just like, don't be worried about the image of it. Just, it goes kind of back to what we were saying about just like do what you love. Like if you love the content, that's literally all that matters. Just have fun with it, especially on like platforms like TikTok. Like literally, who cares? Something I need to listen to more myself. You know, I used to be in my head for so long, but it just like doesn't matter.
You just have to be so playful with it. Like playfulness is the one thing that I think is missing from so many people's content creation process, because, and this is the other thing that I always talk about as well. We have our inner child, and then we have like the adult in us, right? And when you're operating from the adult's mind of like responsibilities, obligations, what you should be doing, and you put that lens onto your content creation process, what you're now doing is you're creating boring content because you're operating based on a lot of rules and parameters that don't really need to be there. Versus when you're coming from your inner child's perspective of everything is just playful. It's like you have like a blank canvas where you get to just do whatever you want with it. There are no rules, because that's how creativity works. There are no rules, right? And every time I'm working with a coaching client, for example, that's wanting to post more on social media and really wanting to build something out of it, they're always like, you know, should I start a new account? And should I make it under this name? And what is my niche? And what kind of stuff should I be making? And I'm like, whoa. You've already lost the plot even when you started asking me this question, because you're thinking from an adult's perspective, instead of literally just coming from this space of like, how can I have fun with this? How can I see this as something to experiment with and be playful with, and just not worry about the results or the outcomes?
Yeah, sometimes you just like don't think, just do. Like you just have to jump right into it, you know?
Totally.
And also, we're talking a lot about like content creation, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that's the only like non-traditional avenue that you have to go down and stuff, you know? Like I want to just make it clear that like whatever it is that you're interested in, off of just make the jump and just do it, you know?
And this is also a really good time to, I think, remind people as well, everything that you want it because a future version of you literally already has it. Okay. There is no desire that you have that is not within your reach.
I love thinking about that.
Yeah. And you just have to be able to come from that perspective of, if I want it, there's already a way to get there, and I'm not going to get lost in the how, because it's none of my business.
Also, if someone else has it, that means that you have full potential to have it as well. Nobody else is above you. It literally doesn't matter. The only difference between you and them is that they believed that they were worthy of having those things as well.
And they knew that they had what it takes inherently to show up and do it in that way.
And if you're saying like it's because of their family or their background or something, you're making excuses. Like that's what you feel like you would need to get to where they are. But that doesn't necessarily matter. That's like my big thing too, is like we all have different starting points in life. You know, some people come from money, some people don't. Some people are very well connected, some people aren't. But it's like, you can't let anything like that be a setback, because those, again, like you said, and I love thinking like that for myself, is just like these desires we have placed in us are for a reason.
They're meant to be used as a compass.
You're meant to be doing them. Like nothing is a coincidence. Like everything that you're feeling, like, you know, me and Nadia might like have different like desires because we're meant to be doing different things, you know, like that's just what it is. So
100%. And there was something else too that I was, I think it's also really important, like you said, when you see somebody that's super successful, that's doing what you want to be doing, what are the first things that you come up with to try to rationalize their success and make you feel like it's not possible for you as well? Like you were saying, maybe they were born into wealth, or maybe her dad probably pays all her bills. Do you know how many times I've had people assume about me that the reason why I have the life I have now is because I had handouts from my parents? And
it's actually crazy. Like that's another thing. Like people are always gonna assume. They act like they know you and they don't. Like if I go on a trip or something, people are like there was an era where I was going to LA so often. Like one of my best friends lives there, and I had like multiple clients there, and like I had somebody like swipe up on my story, I remember, and they were like, oh, like what guy is like flying you out? And I'm like, what?
Like you're just projecting your limiting beliefs onto me.
Yeah, like a lot of the nice things I have, I fully buy it for myself.
Yeah.
I don't have like necessarily like a guy in the picture like ever like doing this for me. If I want something, like I get it for myself.
Period.
That's it.
Period.
Because you can't, and it's not because I wouldn't be like accepting if like somebody else were to do it for me. Like if you want to give me stuff, sure, why not? But I'm just saying that like you want those things, you can also get them for yourself. You don't have to like depend on anyone or anything. Like something that I think like I was learning, and a lot of my friends too, it's not up to your parents to like get you those things that you want in life. Like, especially after you're 18 years old, like anything your parents do for you is like extra. It's extra. Like you should just be like grateful for it and then like move on. Yeah. But you know, it's really up to you that it's like, if you want to live a certain life or have certain things that like, you need to do it for yourself. You need to like make it happen. Like people will like put that pressure on like a boyfriend or parents, expecting themselves to be saved by something else to kind of bring that to them.
And that's where you're giving your power away. You're basically saying, I don't believe it's possible for me to do this for myself. Somebody else has to come in and do it for me. And that's, again, just taking it back to start paying attention to the voice in your head. When you see somebody that is super successful and they're doing what you want, what does your brain come up with as to why it was easy for them, but it wouldn't be easy for you? Because I've also had the same thing where like the assumptions are just crazy. Like you just thought that just by looking at me, but maybe this is just a reminder for you to start paying attention to where you are short selling yourself and thinking that it's just not as possible for you, you know?
Yeah. And kind of also like going off of that, something I like read something somewhere, it was like a lot more in depth, but it was basically saying that like whatever you're like pay attention to what you're jealous of, because it means that like you want those things, you know? So like instead of like being like a bitter person that's like, oh, like why did she get invited to that event, or like why does she get to do those things? Or it's like people maybe you want to be there yourself.
Yes.
You know?
Oh my God, I'm so glad you brought this up, because this has been a really big discourse on TikTok lately, and just in general. People shit on influencers for like having this like, oh my God, like you don't even have to clock in, you just have to make videos and whatever. And people are like, there's people who can't afford to pay their bills. And it's like, who's stopping you from becoming an influencer? Who's stopping you from creating content? But you'd rather just spend that energy shitting on somebody else who decided to do it. Like if you see somebody else, like you said, that has what you want and you feel jealous of it, take that as a sign that that's something that you want for yourself, and start prepping yourself to actually go for it on your own. And also the other reframe I have for that too is turning jealousy into inspiration of like, if somebody else has it, that means it is equally possible for me. And I just have to see it that way, you know?
And it also, back to what we were saying earlier about the whole fake it till you make it. Like, again, people are always assuming, and like, even with these influencers and stuff, but it's like, they had to fake a lot of things when they were starting. Some people, like, they didn't even have the money to do it. Like, we already know that social media is like a lot of like for show, you know, like not everything on social media is real, and like use that to your advantage even, you know, like people don't know who you are. So you can literally just like create this like persona and embody it. You know what I mean?
2.0
like
self. That's what we always talk about. Reinvent yourself.
That's something
Is
even
it the future?
Yeah. Like something now I'm very like passionate about is like you can literally like build yourself, like a new version of yourself. Like I like to call it like building her, but you basically like, you need to like first, it's all in steps. Like you need to like visualize like who that person is first, like become very clear on them, you know? And then you need to start showing it through your daily actions with how you're speaking, how you're dressing, how you're acting. Like you just have to show up as that person every day.
And and change the way you're showing up. Yeah. Like
don't come up with excuses either, you know?
And because, I mean, your brain will rationalize whatever you tell it to, you know, like whatever you decide you want to, you know, sidestep, your brain will come up with actual reasons for it. And if you can just come from the perspective of, I can reinvent myself. Like, who's stopping you from reinventing yourself literally right now? Who's stopping you from like right now being like, you know what? I am going to be a super confident CEO, influencer type person, and I'm going to act like that's already my reality, and you're going to start showing up in that way. Who's going to be able to tell the difference if that's real or not? Nobody. If you walk into, and that's actually something like a manifestation tactic, actually. Like, if you're really wanting to channel that like rich girl energy, book a tour to go on a, like, you know, in a mansion or whatever, and dress and show up as if you are somebody that actually is able to afford it and is genuinely looking for it. What are they going to tell you?
Yeah, I'm very big on that. Like, you need to just put yourself even in those environments, you know, like maybe you don't have that right now, but like, where do these people hang out? Like, how do they dress? You know, even if you're working with what you have, like nothing's stopping you. Like, go to the Ritz-Carlton, get a coffee, sit down there. Like, you might meet somebody there that opens up other doors for you. Like, it doesn't even like require a lot of money too. I feel like that's what people like, but I don't have the money to do that. It's like, you can still do those things and put yourself in those places. And it's how you carry yourself, you know, even when it comes to clothes, like no one's telling you that you have to go be like decked out in like Chanel and Loewe and this and that. Like, you can literally be wearing anything, and it's how you're carrying yourself, you know, like it's your energy. Like, money doesn't buy style. Like, it's just how you present yourself to people. And this is why we also say like how you speak about yourself is so important, because you'll notice whatever you say about yourself, people will start to think about you. It's like the craziest thing. So that's why you want to like speak positively about yourself, you know? Like, I always joke and I say like, I'm like Princess Natalie. Like, that's been like my name in
alter
my
ego
phone, like for so long, like to the point where like, it's just like reflecting in my outside world to like people I haven't even known for long will like comment on my pictures like, oh, Princess Natalie, or like my parents, my sister, oh, Princess Natalie gets whatever she wants. Like, I've had guys like who barely even know me just start saying like, oh, Princess, like Princess Natalie. And it's just so funny, because it's like, however you think about yourself is how others will start to view you. So
such a good point.
So when you're like in your head, or like you're hating on yourself or thinking you're not worthy, like what if I told you right now that that meant that people around you are going to think you're not worthy? You might want to start like thinking and talking differently, you know?
Totally. And it's a really good step to take to, like you said, just like imagine the future version of you that's already there and is already super successful at whatever it is that they're doing. The version of you that gets whatever they want. For me, it was like the version of me that gets paid to exist. Like, my skills and my wisdom and my knowledge is so monetizable that I literally just have to show up and do like talk about what I love, and I get paid to do. That's literally how, like, people ask, oh, how do you find your clients, or how do you get your clients? I have never run an ad in my life, ever. I have never done anything where I've actually like put that much energy or investment into something where I have to try to attract people to come into my business. Literally all I do is I talk about stuff on TikTok and on Instagram that lights me up. I share about human design. I share about manifestation. I share about life advice, coming from the energy of, I'm already an expert at this, and people want, of course, people want to pay me
believe
for that.
it.
And people believe it. It is the conviction. Like, if you look at all of that coaching applications that come in, and I have probably like thousands at this point, literally just like queued up in my Dipsato platform. And you look at, I asked them the specific question of like, why did you decide to work with me? And every single one, like 99.99% of them are literally just, I saw one of your videos and just like something in me felt like you would be able to help me, just from, again, the energy of conviction,
yourself.
How you show up.
You believe it so much that these people start to believe it too.
Yeah. And if you're not believing in yourself, how do you expect other people to believe in you? Like you were saying, like the way you talk to yourself, people can like sense that from you from a mile away. And if you're walking into something, whether it's content creation, whether it's a, you know, maybe it's like a networking event or whatever, and you're coming from that place where you feel like you don't really belong, you don't really know what you're talking about, you know, the confidence just isn't really there, that energy also repels, because if you're not taking yourself seriously, nobody else is going to be able to take you seriously either. It's, again, and a lot of it is going to be the fake it until you make it stuff.
Yeah, it really just like, it keeps going back down to it. I have like people like very close to me who have like, someone in particular comes to mind, and they were presented with a job opportunity that they were like not necessarily a fit for. They had qualified, exactly. But they fully just took that leap and like had a lot of serious life changes, which tested how bad they really wanted it. But they just literally just went in and just did it. Like didn't know how to like run a whole company like that. And then they just, next thing you know, like they were just doing it.
Totally.
You know?
That's the thing. And that goes back to what we were talking about earlier too, of like the term qualified, like based on whose standards. Like I'm not waiting for like a certification or like, you know, every time I have a client that comes in and they're like, oh, like I want this job, but then they're like stuck in the LinkedIn mindset of like, oh, but my resume and oh, my this. Like a lot of the time.
Actually, sorry, I have something to say about that. It's not even always so like traditional like that. Like when people like stress about like their resumes and LinkedIn, I'm like, I think I have a LinkedIn account because they made me make one in college. I haven't touched that picture. I don't know what's posted on there. I don't even know where my resume is or if it's updated from I don't even know when. So it's not even always like that traditional route. Like it doesn't have to be done a certain way. You know, your network is everything.
That's a
like
big one.
That's a huge
It's who you know.
It's who you know. It's not even like the school that you go to or anything like that matters. Like I went to college and that was like a journey. I've transferred to like a lot of different schools and it was very important to like my family at first for me to finish it. But when I already started like making money doing like what I enjoy and like I wasn't really feeling like school was giving me any value. I like didn't see a purpose in it. The only reason why I finished school was because I wanted to prove to myself that
you
like
could check in the box,
I can like whatever I set my mind to, like I can do it. Cause I had a lot of like setbacks when it came to it. But I was just like, you would think like everything was against me at one point, like from getting logged into the portal to the money aspect to everything. It was just constant like setbacks, but like I set my mind to it and I did it, but not because I needed it, just to prove to myself that I can do it. You know?
Versus you kind of a situation.
Exactly.
That's such a good thing to think about. Actually, two things I want to say. Number one, you mentioned it's about who you know. Your human design map, which I've seen before, your profile lines are 4-6. Okay. If you are listening to this podcast episode right now and you go to the human design app and you put in your birth time, birth location, birthplace, birth time, like all your birthday stuff,
all your information,
and you look at your profile lines and it says 4-6, it's going to be the same thing for you where a lot of your best opportunities are going to come from who you know. That's going to be a big part of your success. So I just wanted to put that out there. Again, for anybody with 4-6, it is really about putting yourself out there and networking. But the other thing that I was going to mention too was that, I think it's so important for anyone who is considering leaving their traditional 9-to-5, like exiting the matrix kind of situation and just becoming a freelancer or starting a business, becoming self-employed, whatever. You really have to create a separation between your validation and like your external, like educational achievements, or like I said, your resume and all of those things, because again, that all creates a lot of programming that you have to be considered successful by somebody else's standards before you're worthy of doing what you want. Everything that I use in my career right now as a successful content creator, life coach, manifestation coach, everything that I do, like I learned stuff from college and from undergrad and from like all these jobs, but I've never had a single client ask me, what certifications do you have? Or,
never.
You know, not a single time have I had somebody even question that.
And really quickly before I forget, even like we just like place these rules in our heads, but like nothing actually matters. Like circumstances do not matter. And I have a prime example of that because I literally got a job where it said that you needed a bachelor's degree. And I was still in school and I didn't fulfill that requirement yet. And I remember everybody in the office being like, who is this girl? How is she there? Like, she's still in school. Like, we had to like, you know, get our degrees and stuff to be here. And I didn't because like, I just never placed that limit on myself, you know?
And that's so important, is not like looking at your worth from that lens, because that will stop you from doing so many different things. And like even thinking back to my story of like how I became a coach, because I have had quite a lot of people, a lot of you guys have actually either DM'd me or sent me emails about like, you know, I really want to become a coach. Like, how did you do it? Like, how do you start? And if I'm being honest, the reason why I was able to start a coaching business and scale it to 6 figures in literally like less than 8 months is because I started making TikTok videos about the books that I was reading that were changing my life. Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. I'm sure you guys have heard me talk about this one, The Power of Now. And when I read those books, I was so excited by what I was learning and like all these ideas that were like swirling around my brain. I literally would just make TikToks talking about them, not even like saying, oh, I'm a coach. I wasn't even considering coaching at that time when I was making those videos. It was literally just like, you guys, like one of my first videos about like manifestation that went viral was when I had like the whoa realization moment from reading Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, where I was like, you guys, being delusional is actually, it works because
it is the solution. Delulu is the solution.
Delulu is the Solulu. And I explained like the science behind it, how Joe Dispenza described it. And then I had so many people commenting being like, hey, do you offer coaching for this kind of stuff? Did I get a certification in quantum physics or in all that stuff? No, I read a freaking book and I talked about the freaking book and people were like, let me pay you to help me apply these things in my real life. Who's to say that like, and that's the other thing too, anybody that you're glamorizing and you're like, wow, how cool that they did that. You are no different than them in a lot of ways. Like we like to create a huge separation of like, well, but they have this and they have that. You have so many skills and so many gifts that if you even bother to use 2% of them, they would get you a lot of really cool opportunities. Yeah. So like, again, anybody that you're seeing that you're like, wow, that's so amazing. A lot of the times it really just takes you believing that, you know, what you have to say or what you have to share, or what you have to create or offer is worth it, and operating from that space. And when you take that action, there's going to be other people that see it in the same light of like, oh, this is something I want to be part of. I want more of it.
Yeah. And sometimes you also need to like let things kind of just like take its course. Kind of like how you said, like you never actually thought about coaching. Like you never like sat there and like, okay, like what do you want to be what do you want to be when you're older? I want to be a manifestation coach. Like you never said that and stuff. It kind of just came to you naturally. So for all of you guys that are trying to like figure out like what your thing is, like it might happen in its like own random way, you know, like you might do one thing where somebody's like, wait, do you actually like offer that? Like I've had that happen to me like all the time, things where I'm like, wait, like I could be charging for that.
Yeah.
Like I didn't even
blind
realize.
spots. Like there's so many, that's what I'm saying. There's so many things that you're so good at that you don't look at it as monetizable, but other people do. Start paying attention to when your friends or like people are saying, hey, oh my God, do you offer this formally? Because I would love for you to do this for me. That is going to give you a lot of really important insight as to what really could become a thing. But back to what you were saying about how it doesn't start with, I want to be a coach and I'm going to start a coaching. Like I've had a lot of clients that have actually come to me where they're like, I really want to be a coach and start a coaching business. But it's like, before you get there, actually, again, just start with, what is something I really enjoy doing, talking about, sharing? How can I take action from there? And then let the universe show me what the most monetizable path to that is. You know, because if you're coming from that space, and I talk about this all the time on the pod, you guys have heard me say this so many times, you have to let go of control and this idea that you have to have everything planned out and mapped out in order for it to be successful. It's going to start with you being inspired by something, taking action towards, like from that energy, and allowing the universe to show you which avenue lights up from that, right? Whether it's what people are commenting or what kind of videos are taking off and performing really well. That's giving you some insight as to what parts of you the universe or the world needs from you. Like what, and that's the other thing too, is coming from the perspective of, what do I want to offer to the world? How do I want to help? What are the things that I want to contribute in terms of helping people transform something within themselves? I know for you, it was really like a lot of it was social media, the aesthetics, the marketing of all of it. That's something that you have a natural eye for, that you were just like, okay, cool, I'll just do this myself. Everybody has something like that.
Everybody. It's something that does just like come so easy to me. Like I've always been told it by other people, like, oh, you have such an eye for it. Like you're aesthetic, like this and that. And like, it's something that I personally, like, I just can't teach it. Like, I just like see these things that like other people can't see.
It's natural.
It comes so natural. That's how you know it's right too, is what just like happens like naturally.
Totally. And I think this has been such a good freaking episode. Like, I really hope you guys are getting what you need out of this.
Yes.
Because my hope for you, for anybody that's listening to this right now, is that you remember how powerful you are, and that anything is possible for you, and anything that you want, you will be fully supported in bringing that to life. You just have to get out of your own way first.
Yeah,
okay?
It's going to be uncomfortable in the beginning. Trust me. Like, I've been tested with things in life, like so many times, where I'm just like, how like I know these things for myself. Like, even like you might be listening to us and it's like, I hear you, but like I have to, that's actually brings up something I wanted to ask you. It's like, what if for the people listening, like they have real things that they need to take care of, like bills and things that, like, I hate using the word realistic, but they are present and like in front of their right now situation. So like,
Yes.
how can they handle taking on those things while also pursuing what we're telling them to go after?
Such a great question. And I'm so glad you asked because it's valid, right? Like you said, you have your current 3-dimensional reality that what's happening right in front of you. You can't just ignore that and, just be like, okay, I'm just going to do my own thing. The first thing you have to do, and this is what I actually teach to all of my clients as well, is you have to be able to neutralize your emotional reactions to those perceived limitations. Right? So you have these bills to pay, you have these things that you have to do. If you're able to come from a space where you're like, okay, I'm going to do that. It's going to be done. It's going to be fine. It's going to be easy. You now have a lot of energy left over to apply to the things that you actually want to do. Right? Everything is all about vibrational alignment. If you are spending all day, every day, excessively worrying and excessively getting stuck and like stressed of like, oh my God, these are all things I have to figure out. What if I don't? What if you just relaxed and learned how to practice that emotional regulation within yourself of like, okay, actually all is well, right? Like reframing your beliefs to trust and know that everything is going to be fine. It's going to work out just fine. And once you're able to come from that space, again, you have a lot of energy left over to be able to take action towards the other things. Does that make sense? And on top of that as well, it's about creating a sustainable, not plan, but creating a sustainable way for you to take steps forward into the next thing that you want to be doing without thinking that it has to be this big, huge thing. It's going to be small little baby steps. Maybe it's making one TikTok video every couple days. Maybe it's about, just creating a little system for yourself where you have an outlet, you have a way to be able to put some energy towards that stuff without being so drained all the time by the stresses and the responsibilities of what you have going on now. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And then also I think it's important to know that like life is going to happen and there's always going to be, like stuff going on. There's always going to be some sort of like problem. And that's why regulating those like emotions and stuff and learning how to like not let them like fully like take over your life is very important.
It's huge. And the way I like to describe this to my clients as well, because a lot of that like worried, anxious energy actually just comes from not having a solid enough relationship with the universe or with God that you are going to be supported in everything that you're doing. You don't have to have it all figured out by yourself. It's not all going to come crashing down because you are protected. And again, the way I like to explain this is sometimes life feels like you're walking a tightrope and it's like 10,000 foot drop underneath you. And you're like looking and it's like, okay, I have to walk this tightrope. And if I take one step wrong, I'm going to fall off the side and like fall to my death. Right. And that's how high stakes and high pressure things feel a lot of the time. Right. But the way I like to describe it is it's all an illusion because actually there is the tightrope and you are being encouraged to walk the tightrope, but there's not that 10,000 foot drop underneath you. There's like a concrete slab that's 2 inches below your feet at all times, following you wherever you're going. So yeah, it might feel like if you take one wrong step, oh my God, I'm going to plummet and fall to my death. But actually it's like, when somebody jumps in a pool and they think it's going to be super deep, but then it's like, oh wait, it's actually super shallow. It's like literally up to my knees. Yeah. That's how you want to kind of think about it. The universe is always supporting you. You just have to allow it. You just have to believe in it. And remember that no matter what step you take, you will be supported in that,
Yeah, you just have to really trust the process. And know that just have the mentality that things are always working out for you. You know what I mean? Like that's something like it's very simple, but those words have a lot of weight to them where I constantly just remind myself like everything is working out for me right now. And
I'm the kind of person where things work out for me.
Yeah. And also just remind yourself, I can't mess up what's for me. It's impossible to mess up what's meant for you. So when you kind of just know that, you can just move more freely,
100%. And you're able to, like you said, come from a space where you're living very authentically. You're doing what feels good to you. And you're not coming from that fear of the lack mentality of what if it all goes wrong? That's what I think a lot of people are so afraid of is everything feels so high stakes because it's what if I post this video and it flops? Yeah. What if I take this step towards my business and it doesn't do well? Great. But every rejection or everything that goes wrong is giving you a lot of information to learn from and grow from. Yeah, it's a redirection. You're still taking steps forward. And as long as you back to the content, if you enjoy the content and you love the content, that is all that matters. It is a success at that point, right? Yeah. And having fun with what you're doing also we're human beings. We're here to have a good time and literally create the life of our dreams. So treat it that way.
Like you can literally have like whatever you want in this life. That's why like I don't like to settle for anything, you know? Like why not like live it out to the fullest and stuff? Like if you really think about it, like whatever that idea is that you have or something, like why are you holding yourself back so much? Why don't you just literally just do it? Go for it. Like you have nothing to lose and everything to gain from it.
Totally.
You know?
Totally.
So it's like, what's the worst case scenario gonna be, you know?
And also just like looking at your life and actually being very honest with where am I keeping myself small with my circumstances? Where am I, like, for example, there's so many people I'm sure listening to this episode literally right now that are working a job that they absolutely cannot stand, that sucks the life out of them. Is that the life you think you came here to live? Mm-hmm. You think your soul incarnated onto this planet for you to work at like a company, healthcare company or whatever, that like literally makes you feel like you're dying from the inside out?
Yeah.
No, you're here to create a life of your dreams.
If you just allow yourself to.
If you just literally give yourself the permission to think that big, because it is all possible. And if you want it, you will be supported in making it happen. You just have to get out of your own way first.
Literally
So,
get out of your own way.
get out of your way.
Because you're just delaying the process. Like you might as well just like come to terms with that now and know that you can do it. And it's never going to get easier. There's never going to be a faster way to do it. Like you just got to go do it.
You got to be willing to take those steps forward.
For sure.
To wrap up this episode, I like to, at the end of every episode, give the audience a limitless challenge of the week to kind of apply what they've learned and kind of integrate. Do you have any ideas for limitless challenge of the week this week?
Limitless challenge of the week.
I have an idea.
Let's hear your idea. Maybe I'll add on to it.
So I think for the limitless challenge of the week, within the context of this episode, I really want you guys to, number one, look around at your life and pay attention to where you're selling yourself short. That's a really big piece of that. And number two, once you've done that, really ask yourself the question of what would true freedom and abundance feel like? And like, what does my dream life in terms of my career really feel like for me? And how can I actually just show up like I'm already there and start taking those steps forward?
I love that. I think that's perfect. That's the perfect first step to doing it.
Yeah. And also, again, Natalie, I just want to thank you for coming on and sharing your wisdom. Where can the audience find you if they want to connect with you or see your content?
On Instagram, it's natalie.martin. And on TikTok, it's natalie_Milan_.
Okay, slay. And I also did see that you've been posting a challenge for becoming her, which you guys should totally check that out. It's so good. She gives like step-by-step tips on how to create that next level version of yourself and like really step into it. So
yeah, so go check it out. I only posted day 1. Today will be day 2. So you're not too late. You can reference it
and
whenever.
by the time they hear this, it'll probably be literally on to day 6 already. So
yeah, so you'll have it all right there.
You'll have it all there. We'll also link all of her socials so you guys can check her out. And I just want to thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode. This has been so much fun. I hope you guys got exactly what you needed. And don't forget to, if you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe because we are going to be posting all of the video formats onto this channel. And also don't forget to subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast to Limitless with Nadia, because we're releasing new episodes every single week. And with that, we love you all. We hope you have an amazing week. See you next time.
Thank
you. Bye. That's a wrap.
That was so cute.
Wasn't that so good? Oh my God.